recording is live. Everybody's happy. It's Friday morning, I think. Let me just catch up on the chat really quick. Been getting up at this time. I can't run the quench. Yeah, fair enough. You can't run around quench. Yeah, market opens a little bit before that. Glad you had a good birthday, though. So let's get rocking and rolling here. Sorry, it's I was trying to sign up my Webull, and it was asking me questions. So we don't like those. All right, so can everybody see my screen okay in the Discord as well? I just have to triple check, make sure that the recording is going, and I also have to make sure that Austin doesn't log in this week and then stop the recording halfway through. Okay, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. All right, so let's, I'm just going to really quickly kind of recap this portfolio, and then we'll get into the live trades. You don't necessarily want to trade the first couple of minutes of market open, especially on Fridays. So I'm just going to look at some other stuff real fast. So APLD making a nice little push off the lower time frame moving averages, and we got a good strong support level. So this is one I bought one here, bought ones here, and I was gonna buy again around 4, but looks like we didn't get that opportunity. So we'll see if it continues up or if it's gonna sell off. ABCL is one that I think it was K Get Wealthy, one of the Rags to Riches team members, brought to my attention yesterday. He was curious about it, so I was like, oh, I'll grab some too. So I grabbed some yesterday, and it's doing okay. I mean, for a swing, it's not bad. The LDP is one that, and this is kind of why I wanted to show you guys. This is a really good example. So basically waiting till it's appropriate, till things are in key areas of value. You place a buy, and then another buy, and then another buy. And then as soon as the opportunity arises, I didn't get to buy my last one down here. So it's 3 out of 4 buys in, and this, like, I prioritize reducing that risk exposure, and that keeps us safe. And then at this point, it's just a matter of, essentially taking this first buy and moving it all the way down to here. So it saves a lot of money. And then when the price does reverse overall and goes up, it's that much more profit rather than just breaking even if it gets all the way back up here. So I've been doing that quite a bit on this portfolio. This one here, I'm going to let it breathe a little bit more. I didn't reduce it yet. It is a full-size position, but I didn't want to cap its potential just yet. So with all that said, you can see there's 3,000 in drawdown here, but that's okay, right? Because it's all just swing stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over here, and we'll get this rocking and rolling. And we'll take a look at the actions list. So, the market's been open for about 3 minutes. That's good, right? We just want to kind of let things breathe a little bit. Now I'm just going to look at the top gainers for the morning. And then you can also look at Lee's watch list. That's probably better because he kind of goes through and curates them. I have to kind of work around the low float, like non-moving garbage. So, all right. So let me just move this over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull up 2 strategies. Let's go ahead and take our choices here, right? Don't just want to use Stocks Buddy today. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll use this one. I kind of like this one. It's a nice one. And then I'll just kick these down to the 1 minute. And then at the top here, I kind of want to use, maybe this one. No, that is one. Let's see. What do you guys want to use today? You want to use this one? Or you guys want to look at the strat? Now, you know what? We'll use Trendburger. Screw it. We're probably going to get less signals with this one, so I'm mostly interested in the bottom one here. So, all right, so let's build out our watch list. So we've got WINT. I think that's probably going to be the most popular one of the day anyway. I glimpsed at these earlier today, so so we'll see what we can get. All right, so let's first things first. I got to make sure that my watch list is empty so that I don't add garbage to it. Then I want to look at CREV. So that looks like it's got good potential. It's in a pullback right now. Nope, not that one. Today. Then we got CALB. That's garbage. You can't really trade that. BFI looks like it's pretty decent. Now that's got it's a sub-dollar stock and all that good stuff. So, the price tends to, or the volume tends to fall off first on those. So just got to be careful with those. And then COUR is on the way up. So I like that. I like this one a lot. So we can see it's currently giving us a signal. But as you can see on this bottom one here, the yellow lines and the yellow dots means that it's a 5 candle series, which means that 5 or more candles in a row have a higher low than the previous candle. So that way, this just helps you guys visualize that. So maybe it's a little bit risky. Maybe I don't want to jump into that just yet. And I'm going to add the 20 period moving averages on here as well, just so you guys can see those on both indicators. All right, so I got 4. Let's see if we can find a 5th one here. I kind of like this one in most cases, EVRI. I kind of like that one. Maybe not so much where it's at right now, but I like it. And then I'm going to switch this over to the 5 minutes. And then what I can do there is I can use this and filter by the volume here to see which ones are going to be the most active throughout the day. So you can see like TWG, it's Morse code right now, but I kind of like it for what it is. Now that's the 30-minute time frame, so I got to be careful there. So what I can do is kick this down to the 5-minute. So I don't know if you guys saw that. So in the top right here, I changed this from pre-market to 5 minutes, and then I changed the sparkline time frame to 5 minutes. That way I can see kind of throughout the day. Like this one is looking good. So BFI is already on the list. KNSL, it might be good, but that's a $400 stock. I'm not trading that on this size portfolio. All right, so I think we're okay for now. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to look for signals here, and then I'm going to switch over here for the actual trades. So let's look at WINT. All right, so this one is in a bearish state. There's really not much we can do. The top time frame, though, kind of nice, right? We kind of like that. Okay, but we're below the 20-period moving average, so nothing to do there. Same there. It's got a negative slope, right? There's no reason. COUR is the only one so far that has a positive slope. So in this case, if I were to trade this signal right here, let me just draw this out real quick. That would be the entry. Stop loss would go right below that, right? And it would anyway, because that's it's part of a 5-candle run, right? And then we'd have at least like a 1-to-2 ratio. Okay, but I'm not trading the signal because it's super far up. I want to wait for a pullback. But that's how that would go if we were trading the string. Actually, yeah, let me turn this particular indicator off because I kind of just want to leave it with, yeah, I think I just want to use a 20-period moving average today. Sorry. Oh, what's up, Porter? All right, so I think we're probably going to get some better action out of CREV, I think. Now, it's got a little bit of work to do, right? It's got to pull back. It's got to stay above the moving average long enough, and then it's got to pull back and retest it. So this is just a quick pop over and retest, but the trend bias itself is still against us. So I got to be a little bit careful about that. And this one here, WINT, I think is probably the number 2 runner, right? So COUR is number 1. It's got the most strength. WINT is kind of the cleaner second place candidate here. It's got a good push, but it's starting to fall off in market. And then CREV and BFI, I think, are kind of tied. Kind of like BFI. I just don't like that it's got some nastiness to it. All right, and as you can see, there's really nothing for us to jump into right now, right? Other than COUR, which is up, but we can't trust that. Yeah, like it's got let's see here, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles in a row. So we're in that 8 to 10 candle window. So if I draw two vertical lines here, right? One of these 2 candles should, in theory, pull back down. So we'll go ahead and see what actually happens there. But that's the 8 to 10 candle rule. So we'll see what we get. All right, so WINT is not going to reclaim. Looks like CREV is falling down too. So maybe it's just one of those mornings where we don't get really good opportunities. Everything just kind of needs to find its place in the morning. All right. Looks like WINT is kind of getting there. Yeah, so we should see a big move up or down on these two, one of these 2 candles, but it's probably going to be to the downside because we really want to come back and get a retest. We've got this huge gap right here that hasn't been resolved. Just straight up impulse after market open. And that's scary. So what we can do with this is essentially a fair value gap, right? We just got a strong push and no resolution for it. So we'll go ahead and wait and see what happens there. But so, all right, so I'll erase this line, and then this candle that's currently forming, we'll see if that kind of obeys the laws of supply and demand, or if it's going to just stay flat. Now, high consolidation is good in most cases as long as the volume can come back in and push it higher. But this is stalling, right? So we don't really want to see high consolidation with descending volume. When that volume comes back in, that might just slam it down. So we'll keep an eye on that. WINT is just selling off, right? So no reason to jump into these just yet, guys. And this is kind of the important part about prioritizing risk management, because I could very easily just pick like this right here, right? This might turn into an engulf. I could, right? I could look at that, but why? Right? It's not guaranteed to be anything. This right here is a beautiful setup. If I were to draw this, right? That's the risk. That's the reward. And that's the 1 to 2. I could probably knock that out of the park. But there's so many other factors in the mix. This is not, it doesn't have high probability to succeed. So why risk it, right? The trend is going down. The price action is going down. We've got more volume and bigger red candles than we do green, right? So just the bias is against us already. So it may or may not pop for that 3%, but there's no point in risking it. All right, so COUR. This is sketchy, man. I like it up here, but I don't. Like, that's so far up. That's scary. All right, so we didn't get our big move. All right, that tells us this is abnormally strong, which doesn't mean it's going to blast or anything. It just means that when that volume does come back in, it's going to cement one of those directions. And we're probably either going to get one of these candles to the upside, or we're going to get one of these candles to the downside, at which point I think a lot of people are going to get hurt. So I think I'm just going to wait, see what the moving average does here. If it catches up to it, that's good. If the volume comes back in and that pushes higher, that's awesome. That's a scalper's dream. But this is just super high risk right here. So we're just going to wait. We're going to keep being patient. Now this one here, WINT, now has a 5 candle run to the downside. Well, it just broke it, but 5 or more candles in a row with lower highs. So we're going to go ahead and wait. That's the same thing that's forming right here. All right. And when that happens, that's not the time you want to jump into stuff. Okay, so EVRI. All right, so now I'm going to just going to kick over here. TWG's garbage, PMNT's garbage, ADN's garbage. All right, so SGMO, right? That's one that's kind of running during market hours. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, because this one might have some juice for us. I kind of like this one. It's got a little bit more. It's got better behavior than we are seeing in the other stocks this morning. So I'm just going to go ahead and push this up. Now I got 6 on my watch list, but I'm not looking at like EVRI just yet. I'm not looking at BFI. I'm not looking at CREV, because they're all bearish, right? These 3 are the only ones that have signs of life, and WINT is even sketchy, right? Ooh, I like that. Now, since we're above the moving average, like this is the kind of risk that we like if we do take these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just switch over here real quick. I'm going to switch down to the 1 minute, and you can see I've got my hotkeys set up. So it'll place a $100 trade at market, and then it'll I can uncheck that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring this down to single chart, and you guys can see like this is what I'd be looking at for that trade if I took it, and then the take profit would be up there. Now I didn't get in, but that is kind of one of the easiest ways to look for entry. But since it's so small up here, I'd be comfortable taking that risk because it's far away from the moving average. Now, normally I want it down here in this area. Like you see how this is very, very close to the moving average. That's more ideal. This is high risk, but it's small. This is high risk, but it's small. I just can't trust the other stuff. All right, so this one, I kind of want this to come down to like 76, 77 cents. I want to see this kind of essentially do a retrace here, a fib retrace. But that would also line it up with the moving average. So this is the area right here that I'm going to be looking at for this one, I think. So I'll just continue to watch it pulling down. So if we want to, I'll draw a line right there. And then this one's kind of big risk too. I don't really want to jump into that if it's that far up. Okay, I like what BFI is doing here. So I'm going to move that up because that's going back on the, it's ranking a little bit higher, right? Just waiting for that positive slope, and then we'll go from there. So if I were to take this entry, that would be the risk. So that is that's like 2.6. I'd like at least anything above the moving average. I want to be like 2% or less. So I'm a little bit finicky about that. Like this is perfect, right? I like this. Now I might jump into there. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'll jump in. I'll take it. I'll take a trade here. We'll see how it goes. So let me get my drawing tool. Obviously, this is high risk because we're above the moving average quite a bit. I can't draw my, I can't move my drawing tool. Jeez. All right, and then we've got, I think I'm going to do a 1 to 3 on this one. There we go. And then I'm going to uncheck this so that it doesn't sell 100%. So basically, I got my hotkeys set up to sell 75% of my position if I hit Control 2, and if I hit Control 3, it sells all of it. And that's going to be a 1.24% risk for a 3.7% reward. But of course, the profits just get bigger and bigger and bigger because we let things run. All right, so let me just peek back over here. WINT is garbage still. SGMO is garbage still. All right, so here's the retest. Now, we want the price to stay above the moving average, and then we want to have that positive slope on that one, and then we can get in if we get the right setup. And for this one, I could set a bracket order right now, and it would just sell, 75% up here, and it would sell, 100% here. And then I could set another 25% order down there. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let me just show you guys that real quick. Let me just draw my line. If this thing doesn't just sell off as I'm making this. All right, so you get a close position, close by stop loss, take profit. And what was that number up there? That was 1174. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set an order to sell a stop price at 11.18, right? Because we want to go 1 cent below, and then 11.74, or we'll do 75. And then we're going to sell 75% of the position right there. And what that'll do is it'll create a bracket order for 6 of the 8 shares, and then I'll do another one for 2 shares at the same stop loss, but a much bigger take profit, right? And what that does is it guarantees that if price comes down, I'll stop out all my shares. But if it goes up, I'll sell 75% here, and then I can just drag this around to wherever I want it to be. And I can always move these up too if I want to. So if I come back over here, you'll see the same thing. You'll see that I've got the orders, the brackets set up. Okay, now we're in a major run here, right? We've got multiple candles here, almost 10 in a row that have higher lows. So got to be careful. All right, what that does also is it just lets me take my eyes off the, let's grab some SGMO as well. Oops, I might, yeah, I'm not going to grab that until it comes back. I don't want to chase that, right? Because the risk here is super tiny for what it is, right? But I don't want to just chase it up. So what I'll do is I'll move that line right there. And then if we get a pull back down, I'll look to re-enter on that with those same levels. Okay. So that's my number 2 watch right now. I'm just kind of ordering these based on what I like to see. Let's just take a look here. So we don't quite have a positive slope on the moving average yet. It's flat, which is good, which means that when we get a little bit more push, then we'll have what we need. So I'm actually going to put that above BFI as well. Okay, so this one's starting to see some red. So that that 5 candle, 10 candle run is now technically over. So we can start looking for a higher validated low, or it's going to come back and hit the stop loss. So we'll see what happens there. But that is sketchy. And it looks like this one we just kind of missed our entry. I don't know if that's going to pull back. If it does pull back, we can always enter just below this line, or we can look for another entry altogether off that line. But the level and the concept remains the same. I mean, up here, we'd pretty much be looking to take that initial profit already. So we might have missed that one. That's about a 6%, like 5.8% profit. Oh, what's up, Nikki? You got a hot mic there, bud. just so you're aware. All right, so we're just waiting for that to push. Yeah, I think we missed it on this one. That's okay though, right? You guys see the idea here is I'm not going to chase stuff, but like these are so common. There's no need for us to blindly jump and chase into them. So CRU is up a little bit. It's almost 3% here. That'll lock in pretty quick. Oh, this is beautiful. All right, so this, let me see here. So I got $100 position minus, divided by 0.335. Now that's going to be 298 shares. So let's do that. And I'm going to go ahead and get in. Okay, so I've got my my entry there, my stop loss here. Let's do the old drawing tool, right? We like that. Right there. And let me just move this over to the actual, yeah, there we go. Or I'm sorry, geez, right here. I don't know why I drew that down there. Sorry, that's my stop loss, guys. And then we'll do a 1 to 3 on this one as well. Boop. And then that's my stop. Okay, so that's BFI, right? So BFI is right here. Oops, right here. And then the level on that is going to be 35. So I should have probably locked it right there. I just kind of missed that. So what I can do is I can hit Control-2 and it'll sell 75% of my shares. And that's just to lock in the bulk of my shares. Oh, there's a wall right here that's going to break. I'm good. I'll hold it for a little bit. All right. So we'll let this run. Now I'm using kind of the level 2 stuff. It's a little more advanced. I'm just going to watch the volume here and locked. So I locked 75% of the shares, about 8% up. That way I have at least the bulk of it locked in. And I got a little bit more profit, about 2.5 times what I was planning off the bulk of those shares. So now I just have a little piece of it left. I get 25%. I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for missing this one. But again, this is confirmation bias. I don't want to chase this and be like, oh, because if I chased it, right, we probably wouldn't be seeing this. We would have slipped into an alternate dimension and the price would be down here now. Right? So I'm not going to chase it just because I see this, right? Because, I knew better. I should have got in. I could have compromised a little bit on that price. I could have, but that would have just expanded my risk range, which means I'm doing things completely upside down because I don't want to make my reasons for doing things work against me here. Let me move this up here because I got that's my jam. All right, so WINT's got a flat moving average here. So what we can look for now is a positive slope on the moving average. And then this one, oh man, that's beautiful. So this one, it's got a negative slope on the flat slope on the moving average, but yeah, that wouldn't have been a good entry, I think, or safe entry, I should say. But I like that. Whew. All right, so right here, let's see here, 100 divided by 1293. All right, so about 7 shares on that. Whoops, what the hell did it just do? It just moved my lines, sorry. Yeah, I'll jump into that. All right, so same thing here, right? We're just doing the same process. Now, since this one is high up, I'm okay risking 0.15%. So, now let's go ahead. I don't like the volume on this one as much. So this is going to be a pretty tight trade here. It's like 0.5%. So I'm okay with that, right? We're not looking for huge profits on every single trade. Probably going to stop out of this one. If that breaks below there, I'm out. Let me just peek over here real quick. All right, so this one is gearing up for another one. So this would be a nice secondary entry opportunity if that breaks over, because that would be the threshold, like right here, and then this would be the stop loss. So it'd be a very tight trade. And if you stop out, it's okay, right? That's the whole point of this. It's not about just being right all the time. It's just about protecting yourself when you are wrong, because you're going to be wrong. All right, let me peek at SGMO, like that right there. Tight risk. But it is well above the moving average, so that's sketchy, right? So we don't have to trade anything we're not comfortable with. Same right here. This is pretty big risk, and it's high up above the moving average, so there's no reason for us to try to force that. This is just falling off the face of the earth, so there's no reason to ever look at that. All right. So let me change this, right? I'll change this down to 5. Okay, just for concept, right? We're not looking for huge profits on this one. We're going to get about 42 cents off of this. So BFI is pushing. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3 candles in a row. I'm looking for 2 more, and then I'll put a running stop loss in place, basically. All right, so I missed my take profit there because I was goofing around. I was looking at other stuff, but that's okay. All right, so I locked in 5 of my 7 shares. Now I'm going to bump this down to 1. Okay, and hopefully the concept here makes sense to you guys. All right, that's all I'm doing. I'm just demonstrating proof of concept. So 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in a row. We're looking for a 5th one now with a higher low on that one. COUR is still just kind of doing its thing. This is too high for me to play with. Actually, let's look at that. Yeah, so if you did take this one, you'd still be in it, but it's sketchy, right? There's no reason to try to force that. So this one here has a negative slope on the moving average. So we could just stay out of that, right? There's no need to force that. All right. We got, oh, by the way, this stream right here, I'm going to end this right at 10:30 a.m., so another half hour. For Lee's coaching students specifically, I want to make sure that you guys get into there. Plus, I have a couple things I have to do before the Florida trip. So we're flying out tomorrow, or I'm flying out tomorrow morning. Yeah, I got to get a bunch of stuff done. So, mentorship stream is still on, though. So 11:30, so an hour after this one ends. Oh, that's beautiful. I think I'll take a risk here. Now, this is super high risk, so we'll see what this. We'll see if this bites me. It may. All right, and then we'll draw out the. Well, we'll try to draw it. It's probably going to stop out before I get it drawn, but that's the idea here. That's my 1 to 3 right there. So if this fails this level here, I stop out. If it doesn't, I collect 6.5% profit on 75% of the shares. All right, so I now have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 here, right? So we're still waiting for that 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was invalidated here. And then COUR is kind of just gearing up and doing its thing. Okay, so we're just waiting for this one to push. Do you guys see how like stupidly mechanical this is? Like there's going to be wins, there's going to be losses, but it really doesn't matter as long as you just do it consistently. Like, the profits will take care of themselves. Like I'm not making millions of dollars on these. They're low float garbage runners, but it's pretty nice because I don't have to make I don't have to guess, right? Nothing's uncertain here. I'm just like, oh, it's a shape. It's just shapes and colors. It's patterns. And then making sure I'm using consistent position sizes, scaling out consistently, just the little stuff that people tend to struggle with. All right, so all these are green so far. Just going to do a quick run around here just to see. Oh, yeah, there we go. So this one didn't quite stop out. Let me just move this line down here because this is where my stop loss is. I just want to keep an eye on that. And then EVRI. This is pulling down, so we're looking for a higher validated low here on this one. I'm going to erase this line here because it's meaningless. All right, so it's really between these two here. I'm a little sketched out on these guys, but things are starting to pull back a little bit. So I just got to be careful that I don't miss my stop out. What's up, Yoda Bomb? Fergie says, I got an extra portable screen that has a little stand that collapses flat. You're all packed and ready? Awesome. Headed to Dallas to fly out in the morning. Cool. Yeah, I'm leaving my house around 5 in the morning tomorrow. Or I think like 4:30. Something like that. I don't remember exactly. Or no, I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm a dum-dum. Oh yeah, no, I'm right. My bad. Sorry, I thought I had my numbers mixed up. I chose not to use the wick here. That's why I was confusing myself. Every time I come back, this is like, that's not part of the strategy. You're supposed to use the wick, idiot. Yeah, I chose to not use the wick here because this volume is so low. So that's my bad. All right, so this one, I'm out. 100% out. So this is a net profitable position because I locked 75% of it here and it just stopped out on the remaining 25%. And I missed my take profit on this because I wasn't paying attention. All right, so I locked 75% on this one. And then I have 25 shares left, so I got to switch this to 18, right? And then if it stops out here, I hit this X. But if it hits the next target, if I see like a 5 candle run above this target line, then I lock in another 75%, which is 18 shares out of 25. This one here is getting dangerously close. And then this has orders placed, so I don't need to really worry about where that goes. But I typically don't like to set bracket orders on the low float garbage ones, the sub-dollar ones, because they get sketchy. And you can get a wide bid-ask spread, and you get filled weird, and it just falls apart on you. All right, so we are currently forming a 5 candle run here. And again, if you're not sure, we've got Stocks Buddy, for example. The secondary entry was right on this candle, which is pretty convenient that I happen to get in there. We also have one right here. So like we're in line, right? It's all telling us the same stuff. All right, so it looks like COUR hit my stop loss, and that's okay. All right, that's nice and tight, easy peasy. Let me just take this back off. And this right here is why we respect our stop losses. Like that's that can get pretty drastic if we don't stay on top of that. So, it's nice. Yeah, Florida. Whew. It's gonna be hot. That's the one thing I'm not looking forward to, is just the mugginess. But it's okay. Still Florida. I'll take it. We're gonna be in that conference room all day, both days, Monday and Tuesday. All right, so we got our 5 candle run here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one invalidated it, but it happened inside my target range. So I don't really need to take a profit there on the remaining shares. So what I'll do is I'll just wait for the next run. Now this one can't be a higher validated low because the second candle to the left is lower than it. Okay, so there's no reason for me to move my stop loss up even. I always could if I wanted to, but I don't have to. All right, let's take a look, see what else we got going on. All right, so it looks like CREV is probably the only other candidate for the morning. WINT is just selling off. There's no reason to try to chase into that. EVRI is stopped out. COUR is stopped out. All right, so it looks like we're in the 2 that are in the best position for movement. Well, maybe this one will stop out. I don't know. But we already locked profits on this one, the majority of them. Oh, that does remind me. I have to change this. 75, 56 shares. Okay. So I want to make sure I always keep my quantities and stuff updated if I'm trading with TradingView. With Webull, I can just switch over and use my hotkeys. It makes it easier. All right, so now if this one breaks a low, right? If this comes down a little bit lower, or if it stays flat, right? Because they can be equal or lesser. This then is the next candidate for a higher low, at which point, if we get 2 candles to the right, which push up, then I can move my stop loss up to the low of this candle. So we'll go ahead and see what else we get here. So for this one, I've already locked 75%, so I don't need to do it again here at the same target level. So I really want to look for a higher high. Or at least maybe a 5 candle run up here or something. Okay, just kind of poking around here, seeing what else we can get. This one's starting to turn around a little bit. So let me just look at the tops here. So we got RGC. Ooh, I kind of like that. It's halted though. That's garbage, 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 garbage. So a lot of these are just going to be garbage. So it looks like we're just kind of getting one of those mornings where there's not a whole lot. So all we have to do is focus on the quality, right? And we can just do this every day if we want. Or not at all. If we're not confident and comfortable with it, we don't have to do this at all. But what you don't want to do is try to guess. You don't want to be like, oh, there's a support level here, so I'm going to buy here because I think it's going to go up, right? Because you could very easily justify that. You could say, here's a range, right? And here's a specific level that I'm looking for a bounce on. And you could say, as soon as it touches this level, I'm going to buy it. And what that's going to do is you're buying into, like, you're trying to hold a door that is being battering rammed at that point. And guess who's going to get hurt in that equation? It's not going to be the ones holding the battering ram in most cases. You might get lucky, right? They might slip. They might fall and crack their teeth on the door. But more often than not, you're going to get hurt. So rather than wait for them to bust the door down and then run behind them. Or wait for them to fall back. All right, so we're up about 14% on BFI. So I'm going to go ahead and start to look for a take profit opportunity here. With these big candles, you can always move like a partial stop about halfway through, or you can just lock it on the close of the candle. I'm not going to do that, though. What I have here is 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 candles in a row with a higher low, which means I'm still just going to look for my 5-candle run, and I'm going to let it be mechanical. I don't need to try to guess and pick if I think this is the top, because that is a double top. It's nice, but I think we go higher. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. I don't care. I'm already net profitable on the position anyway, so there's no reason to try to risk it. I do have to open my monster can, though, so you guys are going to get to hear that. This stream is not sponsored by Monster. But if they're listening, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah, that's pretty rough. No beach or conference room or Pookie. Oh no. All right, so we popped our new high, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. So now I'm going to look for this one to close, and then this one here that's currently open, I'm going to wait for that one to close, and that'll give me 5 in a row. Ideally, if it has a higher low, with a higher low, and then at that point, the stop loss will be like I guess higher than this, right? If this one stays higher, it'll be here, and then wherever this one closes, it'll move up here. So we're kind of at the halfway point of this big candle anyway. So where we would have originally anticipated in locked profits, we're still doing the same thing basically up here. Now we're missing, a good chunk of this, but that's okay, right? Because what happens with these big runs is a lot of times they'll have a little tiny candle at the top. And if it's part of a 5-candle series, that's where we'll move our stop loss, our partial stop. And then we'll just lock the profit right there at the top and we'll look like a badass. Now, is that guaranteed to happen? I have no idea. That's not my problem, but we'll see. So now this one, right? This candle right here couldn't be a higher validated low because of this guy. It broke down below. So now this is a higher validated low. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move my stop loss up to that. And I'm going to erase this other line. And I'm going to erase this position too, I guess, because we already locked profits on this. Okay. So this is now the only thing that matters is this hard stop. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so this is now my partial stop loss right here. Okay, so if price breaks below this, I'm going to lock in 56 of my 75 shares. Right, so we're above the halfway point. So if we anticipated, we would actually be making less money than we're doing just following the system. All right, so I'm going to lock 75% of my shares remaining. So I've got 19 left. 0.75. So I got to change this to 14. Right, I'm just continually working this down. 75%, 75%, 75%. Okay. And then since this breached, now the second candle to the left here doesn't count because this can't be a validated low candidate. But if this one breaks below this guy, then it could be, because then we'd have 2 candles to the left that are higher. Right. So I just have to be patient. But we're now forming lows on the candles, which means I have to look for a higher validated low to move my stop loss up. All right. Same on this guy. We're just waiting. So we've got, are these equal? 97, 97 to 1. Okay, so 1, 2, right? Now we need 3 more candles. Oh my God, went. It sold off hard. All right, so this doesn't have a positive slope, but this is kind of nice for a potential reversal here. But I'm not gonna compromise my strategy here for that. But this is normally where I'd look for an entry because it's got increasing volume and all that good stuff. Ooh-wee, that looks nice. But there's multiple entries on these, so I don't have to get the right one, right? I don't just have to pick one at the bottom and hope I'm right. And, if I miss it, I'm not going to trade at all. All right, so this candle did come down. Let me just, I'm going to erase this. I hope you guys are cool with that. You guys see the trade here. So this candle right here has 2 candles to the left that are higher than the low here. And all I need now is 2 to the right here with the same thing, and then I can move the stop loss up. Okay. And what we've got here is higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and that's an uptrend. So any of the trend traders out there can visualize that. All right, so this one here just invalidated that, right? Because we got 1, 2, 3, and then we got a lower candle. So nothing to do there. We got about 20 minutes left on this stream, by the way, and then I got to cut this one off. Okay, so this now has a positive slope. So what I can do is I can draw a line right here on this one. And I'm also going to get my quantities out there. So 100 divided by 890, obviously it's 11 shares. If we get a breach over this, that'll give me a nice tight risk right there. If we get lows, I'll get to move my threshold down. So this one here, I'm going to move to the top of my list because I want to pay attention to that one. That's got some juice to it also. All right, so as soon as this candle closes, I get to move my stop loss up because 2 candles to the left, 2 candles to the right have higher lows, which means this candle is a isolated low. Therefore, it's validated. Same one in this one. I'm just waiting for this to validate. I'm going to erase these lower lines as well. So 2 more candles on that one need to form. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get into this guy. This becomes my stop loss. Now, this is a much, much tighter trade, obviously. But that's kind of what I want, right? Little 2% risk and a... There we go. So 11 shares times 75% is 8 shares. So I'll look to sell 8 shares at target 1. Does this make sense? Hopefully. All right, so this guy validated. So my stop loss is now here. I'm going to erase this line. All right, now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in a row. So I'll check back in a minute, see if we get a 5th. That low is still forming, and this is still kind of pushing a little bit. Does all this stuff make sense? I know I'm just kind of running through stuff. Calling out 5 candle lists validated that. Hopefully it makes sense. It's a very clean strategy. I like it. That's what I've been teaching the Rags to Riches team. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now we need a 5th candle to not break below this guy. And then I'll be able to move another partial stop up there. All right, so this candidate cannot be the validated low because this guy's below. So now this guy's the candidate, okay? So if 2 more candles, I have to wait 2 more candles. And this is going to be about a 5.6% profit in exchange for a 1.89% risk. I like it. This one's bearish, right? We're getting a, so if you're a short, right, this is where you'd look. That right there, sorry, would have been the entry. And then that would have been your stop loss and take profit. So let's go ahead and see what that would look like for them. All right, I'm just going to kind of look back through these real fast. We got about 5 seconds left on these candles. CREV. All right, so for this one, 1, 2, 3, oh, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now my partial stop is right here. Oops, right here. Okay. So if this gets breached, I'll look to sell 14 of my 19 shares because this is a 5 candle run. So I've got a higher validated low for a full stop out, and then I'm going to lock some profits on this impulse. That's all we're doing. And this one is slow. CREV is slow. All right, so we're still waiting to see a higher validated low on this guy. So far, this is the candidate right here because this guy didn't break below it yet. But if it does, this becomes the candidate. All right, so I got to kind of look at the 3 of these pretty frequently just to see if they're playing nice with each other. So we're either forming higher lows on the candles or we're forming lower lows on the candles, and that tells us what we need to look for. All right, so this gets moved up. All right, so I'm locking 75% of my shares right there. And then that's going to round up to 4, right? Does that make sense? A little 5 candle series right there. And I'll just erase that line. And you can force them to be higher and all that good stuff if you want. All right, so this guy was the candidate. We got one candle to the right, but not two, and then this one breached it. So this is now the new candidate for a low. Let me just extend this over here just to make sure. Bam, 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 bam. There's the stuff. Is the stuff super boring for you guys? It's just like, it's enter, scale out, scale out, scale out. Like, it does get a little bit monotonous after a while. So once I'm in a position, I'm just looking for higher validated lows or 5 candle runs so I can lock those profits on the impulse. So this guy here is about to break down and make itself the new candidate for a higher validated low. So in all likelihood, we're probably going to hit that stop loss. But I'm not going to take any action until it actually happens. COUR. See, so this one right here, right? We're just same concept, but it's upside down. Okay. So we look for the color change off the moving average with minimal risk. So 1.37% risk. And then this one has a 33-cent target to the downside. Obviously, I'm not in that. All right. So we got this guy. 2 candles to the left are higher. 1 candle so far to the right is higher. If this can validate as a low, we'll move the stop loss up there. Okay, this one did move lower. EVRI. So similar concept on this one, right? This would have been like super tight risk, but this candle would be above the moving average for a downside trade. So there's really no reason for us to have looked at that if we were a short. So we don't have to. We can always just wait, let someone else do it. All right. All right, so 35 seconds left on this candle, and then we can move the stop loss up to here. So I'll just put this in place, and then I'll just erase this one if it validates. So right now, this is kind of that superposition thing I was talking about. Like, my stop loss in the future is going to be this and this, but as soon as 20 seconds rolls by, as soon as that jar gets opened, one of these will solidify as the end result. And that's going to be based on whether or not the price stays above this line right here in the next 8 seconds. So we'll see. So now we got yet another new candidate. So we're probably going to hit that stop loss on this guy. And that's okay, right? Because we locked in the bulk of those profits. All right, so right here, I moved my stop loss up, and now we have we got 1, 2, 3, 4 so far candles in a row with a higher low. So now that I've kind of looked and identified the higher validated low on this, right? So every time we get a higher validated low, we automatically start with the low candle, another candle with a higher low, and another candle with a higher low. So that's 1, 2, 3 candles for a 5 candle run. So every higher validated low, we just look for 2 more candles with higher lows, and then we can move our partial stop up. And for those who aren't familiar with that, let me come over here to the Rags to Riches channel, and I'll look at the pinned message, and then I'll pull up this flow chart for you guys so you can see the diagram and just kind of see what that looks like. So ignore this one, right? Because that's just the initial, like once we're in, we lock 75%. These 2 positions right here, these patterns, right? We're either seeing higher lows or we're seeing a V shape or some variation of this where we've got an isolated candle down here. That's all I'm looking for at all times. Let me get ready to, yep, so there we go. Hard stop, no compromise. I'm out. All right, that's it. So I locked the bulk of my profits already, and then I scaled that a couple times, and then I'm out. All right, so this one looks like it hit my target, or maybe it came close, but I wasn't paying attention because I was looking at graphs. Yeah, so we'll see. So we don't have a 5 candle run here off of this higher validated low because we started getting lower candles here. So this now becomes the next candidate for a higher validated low because these 2 candles are higher. Now we need 2 more, and then we can just inch that up, just piece by piece. We're just pushing that up slower and methodically. Slowly and methodically. Sorry, my adjectives didn't match there. So now this is a validated low candidate as long as price can stay above it, which means this is candle 1 in a potential 5 candle run. So I'm going to look for either of those conditions. Yoda bomb. Now that I'm in the bathroom, what are we trading? Turn my 550K. We're trading in our body parts, our neighbors' body parts. Maybe if they're slower than us, you know, there's lots of opportunity out there. Just kidding. It's not financial advice. Don't do that. This is being recorded. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was just a prank. Bro, where's my spleen? All right, so this right here is another entry opportunity, right? So I'm not going to enter it, obviously, but because I'm already in it. But look at this tiny, tiny risk right here. And then look at this as like a, oh, that's a short. My bad. I just moved the short position. Or I didn't move it. I'm sorry. I had it selected, right? So let's draw this out, right? This is the risk, and this is the 1 to 3 reward. Look at that. Boom. That's how stupidly simple this can be, guys. It's just mechanical AF. Daffy, that's a great question. What time frame do I normally use this on? It's sorry, it's relative to the time frame. So if your cleanest chart is on the 1 minute because it's a low float garbage runner and the volume is still there, I use the 1 minute. If it's there we go. So our short position, our simulated trade. I didn't short this obviously because I'm on a cash account, but that hit, right? So it's just more proof of the same. And you've got a 5 candle run setup, but we'll get back to that. No, it's relative to the time frame. So if I'm on the 1 minute and the 1 minute is clean and I can read it, that's great. If it's slower, it's low volume, maybe it's got a low float, and there's less attention on it, then you can look for the daily time frame or the hourly time frame. So it really just kind of depends. And you can also use confluence. So if I look at the daily chart and it's in an uptrend and I'm looking for the short-term turnaround in like the 15 or 30 minute or the 1 hour, and I see it, that's it. That I can just use that lower time frame as long as the higher time frame is in alignment. I'm gonna go ahead and, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Whoops, I was distracted. So I meant to, you know what? I think I'll just exit this one completely because I don't want to make a goof here. So I went to sell my shares and I actually just bought 8 more. So my bad. This one hit target. I'm just gonna exit it completely. I wasn't fully focused on that. No, you're fine. Actually, it wasn't you. Someone came down and was trying to talk to me. So my bad. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this one hit. That's the end of that. But yeah, it's relative to the time frame. So if you're looking at like crypto, for example, even if you're on a different time frame, I'll pull one of those up here in a second. So so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be our 5th candle for a partial stop loss. Sorry, I just want to focus on this real quick. Yeah, it's just whatever's clean, then you can trade. Because the goal here isn't to get the perfect time frame or the perfect tick or anything. It's to instead focus on getting the perfect risk, right? If you notice, all these are very, very small risk. And I don't typically take more than 2.5% risk on like the lower time frames just because it's unnecessary, right? Because I'm looking for, like this, for example, is now, 14.5% up and it's a 1.79% risk. That's ideal. That's what I like to trade, right? This is a 1 to 8 risk reward ratio. So it's really just about getting that super, super tiny risk. So this is now my 5 candle stop loss, by the way. So as soon as this pulls back, there we go. I'm selling. Oh, it's not going to let me sell my. Okay. Yeah. So I sold 4 of my 5 shares. So now I just have the 1 left. And that partial stop just got hit. So now I am looking for a higher validated low, but it can't get one because there's no low here that has 2 candles to the left that are higher. So sorry, I didn't mean to just kind of roll all over the place there. So I sacrificed this little piece at the top here. Does that make sense? That's all I ever lose, really. It's just the top candle because it's either going to pull back or it's not. Right? So hopefully that answered your question. Fergie says, when you see it moving up like BFI is, do you ever raise your take profit or just the stop loss? So I do both, right? So I'll just come back to this. Oh, I don't have the flow chart pulled up. So basically, if I see a 5 candle run, I follow it up just like we did with this one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles right here. And I'll just move a partial stop up for 75%. and then of whatever's left, right? I'm not saying 75% of the full position, but 75% of whatever's left. And you can do that multiple times, right? And then when I see a higher validated low, like I'm obviously out of this trade here, but if this candle closes, right, that validates this guy, then my full stop loss would then move up here. And as soon as that's breached, it's 100% exit. I'll just get out no matter how many shares are left. And the goal is really just to lock in profits on these impulses while moving your stop losses up as things just continue to push. And every time you see an impulse, you're locking in the bulk of whatever's left. And then whenever there's a tested higher low, you move your stop loss up. And all it does is just let the stock breathe while capturing pieces of those impulses without guessing, right? It's all mechanical. Now this one, yeah, I mean, I could lock some profit here. I mean, this is, let's see, where is that? That's I mean, that was a 23% profit right there, but you know, why risk it, right? I'm just going to let the chart tell me when to do stuff. That way I don't have to guess. I'm very lazy and I'm really bad at guessing. Oh yeah, no, sorry. I misunderstood your question. Yeah, I don't move my take profit. Like this guy, this initial take profit, I can erase this once I'm in. And once that gets hit, I'm done. There's no need for me to try to do that. I don't need to move the full bracket up, if that makes sense. Now there is a time and a place to do that. But for that initial take profit, I just want to leave it in place. Where are we at here? All right, so we're about 45% up, 48%. Now I've got one share, so I might as well just lock this pretty soon. But you guys get the idea, right? You got 1, 2, 3, fourth candle forming. You just locked in 75%. Oh, of your shares. What is the process to determine the next leg of take profit? There really isn't one. So basically, the first take profit where I lock in that 75% initially. I'm actually just going to lock this in here so I can focus on that. So I'm all out of everything right now, guys. Yeah, that initial take profit, that's the only one where I actually use like a limit sell order, or I sell it into that move. The rest of the take profits is all just stop losses or things coming back down and hitting a level. So they're either coming back down and breaching the fifth candle or the low of the previous candle in a 5-candle run, or they're breaking below a validated low, a stop loss for that full exit. Does that make sense? So I don't really use take profit orders unless I'm trading like a different strategy. But for this one, I just let things breathe. And then you can see, like, I can always just cut those profits whenever I want. Like right here, I just locked one. I just locked my last share. It was like 50% or something. You always have that option. So if you just don't like seeing the price or the candles do whatever they're doing, you can always just lock in whatever you want. But it's better to do that on the way up than on the way down. So, and by that, I mean, I don't want to let it go below my stop loss if I'm using this strategy and then just hoping I get the right buy or hoping I get the right take profit or whatever down here, right? I'll sell it all day long into strength. That's what we like. All right. Let me just erase these drawings here. SGMO is bearish. This one's kind of trash right now. This one's got a positive slope, but it's below. And then WINT. All right. Does all this stuff make sense? I know the position portion of it can be a little rough. Like this one right here is just turning into Morse code. Like this, if you guys see charts like this, run. Just kick up the time frame until that garbage disappears. There we go. It's like the 5-minute candle is probably the healthiest one that we can see here on this chart. All right. So if you see Morse code, you can't trade that effectively. It also means the bid-ask spread is probably pretty wide. And what specifically I'm looking at here is like these guys. You see so many wicks here with like no bodies, like this one, all these emaciated candles. This is not something we can trade. And it's not because there's like heavy compression or price, but look at the volume on these candles. There's just no volume. Like this one right here, the price didn't move. These guys, the price didn't move. This one, price didn't move. So it's garbage. You can't trade that stuff effectively, I should say. Like any and all analysis gets just completely nullified at that point. All right, so right here, for example, if we were trading this as a short, okay, let's just zoom in, right? We got our descending slope on the moving average. So we're turning everything upside down right now, okay? We got our descending slope. I'm going to end the stream here as well in like 2 seconds. We got our 5 candle run. We got our take profit, and then we got a lower high right here. So that would have been the stop loss, and you would have been completely out as soon as the price broke below this level because of this wick, because of these 2 candles validating it, and then that would have been your full stop. All right. So with that said, I'm going to end the stream, and you guys who are in Lee's coaching group, go ahead and head over there. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll meet you guys over there. Everyone have a good day. Bye.